Live from New York, this is WIUR Radio.
Hello and welcome to this semester's first episode of your New York Sports Update. I'm your host, Ernest Patty, and we're going to get you rocking here with some electric stuff going on in the news. In sports news and everything that's going on. We've got a big game coming up, Super Bowl, Seahawks versus the Patriots. And we're going to get going. Glad to be back with another semester of my show. We're continuing what we did last semester, where we'll cover pretty much anything big in sports and anything coming up in the in the news and what's going on. But in my absence, we've had a lot go down. Now, this coaching carousel has happened. The tons of new coaches. I think it's the most. A historic 10 new head coaching changes, matching the all-time league record. And the most notable trend this year was a massive swap of established veteran coaches and some Super Bowl winning coaches finding new homes across the league. Now, some of the bigger head coaching hires, you had John Harbaugh to the New York Giants, of course, former Ravens head coach, was there for a while and lucky to get a coach like that who worked with Lamar Jackson and some of the other studs in the Baltimore Ravens offense to coach our new young stud, Jackson Dart. So we'll see what happens in the next couple of weeks and months leading up to training camp and so forth. But I think the New York Giants are in a pretty good spot. Now, they had a kind of a lackluster offensive and defensive coordinator job hires. So that will be something to keep on the radar. Giants brought in Matt Nagy from formerly with the Chicago Bears, the most notably the Kansas City Chiefs, coaching Patrick Mahomes, another stud quarterback in the NFL. So we'll, he wasn't calling plays and, not really a huge factor in that Kansas City, space. We'll see what happens there, but take you through some of the other notable hires. A couple first-time head coaches. So anyway, Las Vegas Raiders went after Clint Kubiak very hard. He is obviously the offensive coordinator for the Seattle Seahawks. So he can't start coaching yet. He either has to win or lose the Super Bowl first to accept that position. But it's been reported that they are in agreements come the end of the season there. That he will become the Las Vegas Raiders' next head coach. And more importantly, they have the first overall pick. So it's kind of a good situation. I mean, you've got Tom Brady, minority owner in the Raiders, and can't ask for better mentorship for your potential number one overall pick in Fernando Mendoza. So we'll see what happens there. You have Mike LaFleur accepting the Arizona Cardinals head coaching position. He's a first-time head coach. You have the Cleveland Browns going after Todd Monken, formerly the Ravens offensive coordinator. You have Joe Brady being promoted to the Bills head coaching position. He was previously their offensive coordinator. And it would be kind of interesting to see what happens with Josh Allen and that offense there, if they can get over the hump after firing Sean McDermott after his lengthy stint there. Bills couldn't get over that hump past the playoffs, and everyone thought it was going to be their year this year. They were the 6th seed coming out of the regular season, and you thought no Lamar Jackson, no Joe Burrow, and no Patrick Mahomes to stand in his way, who have formerly been his kryptonite in the playoffs. And they just couldn't get it done in their matchup. So maybe Joe Brady will bring some new life to the Buffalo Bills, clubhouse there. But new head coach there, and just kind of waiting to see what happens with the Bills. Now, Pittsburgh Steelers had Mike Tomlin leave after a almost, I think, a decade, close to a decade of him being there, and hired former Cowboys Packers head coach Mike McCarthy. Now, that was one guy that was touted being the possibly in the lead for the Giants role, but when John Harbaugh was let go from the Ravens, ultimately the Giants signed him, and Mike McCarthy kind of bounced around in signings there, but ultimately chose the Pittsburgh Steelers. Who knows? Maybe they run it back with Aaron Rodgers at the quarterback position, or they pivot and look to sign somebody else or draft a new quarterback that will be, left up to the front office there. You have the Baltimore Ravens signing Jesse Minter, who's the Chargers defensive coordinator. Now, I think the Ravens are actually in a better spot with who they've hired at their offensive and defensive coordinator roles, but we'll get into that in a moment. You have the Tennessee Titans signing former Jets head coach Robert Saleh, who I think is a sneaky good hire, and he's also assembling a pretty good coaching staff around his young quarterback, Cam Ward. Now, he is one of those guys that had the unfortunate position of being the Jets head coach. And now I think some people will get mad at me for dissing the Jets there, but the Jets organization, they've struggled a lot with no matter who they've brought in. So I think it's good for him to get out of New York and join the Tennessee Titans. Then you had the Miami Dolphins letting go Mike McDaniels. Kind of a rough stint there. They had, numerous injuries. You had Tua not playing well to his potential. And I think ultimately that all falls on the head coach, even though sometimes it shouldn't. But I think that was a big switch up there. So they signed Jeff Hafley, who is the former Packers defensive coordinator. And then you have the Atlanta Falcons signing former Browns head coach Kevin Stefanski, also another guy that was in rumors becoming who's going to become the next Giants head coach. There was kind of a scenario where I was playing around with, okay, the Giants really wanted John Harbaugh, and then the next sort of suitable candidate would be Kevin Stefanski. And then I think the third option would have been Mike McCarthy, but I don't think the Giants wanted Mike McCarthy. But anyway, there was a scenario where the Giants would probably go after Harbaugh really hard. And because of certain front office members like Joe Shane, I feel like he would have butt heads with him a little bit. And then that would have caused the relationship between Harbaugh and the Giants to fizzle. Then the Giants would have tried to pivot to Kevin Stefanski, and Kevin Stefanski might have felt slighted by the Giants. And so from there, I think Kevin Stefanski wouldn't have taken the job just because of the Giants, him thinking that he was the Giants' second option. And then the Giants would have had to sign Mike McCarthy, which wouldn't have been their number one choice. Anyway, just a silly little scenario that I was kind of toying with and I thought could be a real possibility for them. But some key takeaways from the coaching carousel. The Harbaugh shuffle, as I call it, in one of the biggest surprises, John Harbaugh left Baltimore after nearly 2 decades to join the Giants. The Ravens staying, in the family by hiring or promoting their assistant or their defensive coordinator. Bringing back Jesse Minter, a former Ravens assistant. You had a couple veteran rebounds, Kevin Stefanski going to Atlanta, Mike McCarthy, Robert Saleh, a couple first timers, Clint Kubiak, who's going to be taking over the Raiders position after the Super Bowl, Mike LaFleur, and Jeff Hafley. And then you had the internal promotion of Joe Brady replacing Sean McDermott to then coach Josh Allen. And then you have the offensive coordinator hires. Now, that was where I think the Giants lucked out because the LA Chargers kind of assembled a God squad by hiring Mike McDaniel, the former Dolphins head coach, and a lot of head coaches accepting offensive coordinator roles. Something that you don't usually expect. Sometimes former head coaches, vie for that head coaching position. You don't see them join in the offensive coordinator role, but it's not unheard of. Um, but you had Mike McDaniel becoming the LA Chargers offensive coordinator. You had Brian Dable taking over in Tennessee, the former Giants head coach, looking to sort of mentor Cam Ward like he did Josh Allen. That I think is a great hire because you have the defensive mind of Robert Saleh and the offensive mind of Brian Dable, someone who's worked with a high caliber quarterback like Josh Allen. Now, the Jets hired Frank Reich, the former Colts and Panthers head coach. Not too big of a hire. Kind of see what will happen there. But like I said, you have the New York Giants hiring Matt Nagy, the former Chiefs offensive coordinator. Now, a lot of Giants fans don't like it. I've seen the tweets, I've seen everything. And you know what? Giants fans, we're going to have to suck it up. We're going to either get a really good Matt Nagy offense or we're going to get a very horrible Matt Nagy offense. So we will see what happens. You had the Kansas City Chiefs reuniting with Eric Bieniemy, becoming their offensive coordinator. He was just recently the Commanders' offensive coordinator. And then before that, he was actually in college at UCLA, coaching them. You have the Baltimore Ravens hiring Declan Doyle, the former Bears offensive coordinator. A pretty good offense out there in Chicago. You have Ben Johnson being the head coach. They were a very good offensive team. Now, Bears, I don't think they're going to lose too much because Ben Johnson used to be the Bears. I mean, sorry, used to be the Lions offensive coordinator there. And you know what? I think that the Bears will be just fine. And yeah, I think Declan Doyle was, part of that really good offensive mind or offensive squad there. So he'll be a sight to see. I think the Ravens are also assembling a God squad by bringing him in. So there'll be some electric teams coming out of the different divisions and conferences there. You have the Philadelphia Eagles hiring Sean Mannion, the former Packers quarterbacks coach. You have the Arizona Cardinals hiring Nathaniel Hackett, the former Broncos head coach from years past before they got Sean Payton. You have Pete Carmichael Jr., the Broncos senior offensive assistant, becoming their offensive coordinator. You have Tommy Reese become the Atlanta Falcons offensive coordinator. Davis Webb got promoted from the Broncos quarterbacks coach to the Broncos offensive coordinators coach. Another big name was Drew Pensig, the Cardinals offensive coordinator, going over to the Detroit Lions. You have Zach Robinson and David Blough filling out the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and the Washington Commanders. Some major trends in the offensive coordinator market. The head coach rebound, a lot of them just getting those offensive coordinator positions. You have some reunions with Eric Bieniemy coming back to coach with Andy Reid and Pat Mahomes. You have the youth movement, the backup QB to OC pipeline. Sean Mannion, Davis Webb, David Blough, former quarterbacks that understand the position and the offensive offensive position, coordinator position that can, help those teams. And then you have the Shanahan and McVay tree shuffle. Zach Robinson, Drew Petzig, all joining their respective teams, but they are part of that Shanahan McVay, coaching pipeline that have produced, a lot of good offensive coordinators. You have now onto their defensive coordinator positions. Not too many names that stood out to me, but we'll bring it back to our New York Giants hiring Denard Wilson, who was the Titans defensive coordinator. They had an okay defense. I think the Titans just struggled as a whole. I don't think they were, very organized when they hit the field. So I think the Giants hiring him, we'll see what happens. But I do trust in John Harbaugh, evaluating his guys and bringing in the right people. You have Raheem Morris, the former Falcons head coach, going back out to San Francisco, reuniting with his guy Shanahan. You have Jonathan Gannon, the former Cardinals head coach of just recent, going to the Green Bay Packers. And then you have Gus Bradley, 49ers assistant head coach slash defensive coach, joining the Tennessee Titans to go coach with Cam Ward and Robert Saleh. Some key takeaways from the DC market: the veteran rebound. Again, guys reuniting. After Super Bowl contentions, playoffs, whatever. They're all kind of reuniting with the guys that they've coached with. You have the Saleh Bradley connection. Robert Saleh bringing in Gus Bradley. His serving on the same staff with him from Seattle, Jacksonville, and most recently San Francisco. And then you have aggressive poaching. Several teams reached into division rivals' pockets, taking their guys away from their staff that they thought maybe they would retain. And then you have the wild card hire. The Chargers made the unconventional move of hiring Chris O'Leary directly from college, from the collegiate ranks out of Western Michigan. I mean, who's hiring anybody out of Western Michigan? But I guess it's a high risk, high reward. Maybe he'll pan out for the Chargers, but I think that Chargers offense is really going to be humming come the turn of the season in September. Yeah. All right. We're going to look at the Super Bowl. Now, I am one of those guys that does remember the last Super Bowl between the Patriots and the Seattle Seahawks. I know you'll remember those final 60 seconds of chaos and the interception. If you don't remember the situation, Seattle had the ball at the New England 1 yard line with 26 seconds left and one timeout. Now, Pete Carroll, being the pretty dominant coach he was in the early 2000s or in the mid 2010s and so on. He had the Legion of Boom. You had Marshawn Lynch, who had 102 yards in that game. And you had the dominant Russell Wilson as well. But again, they decided to run the ball. And Malcolm Butler, who had actually been beaten on that play in practice earlier that week, recognized that and was able to pick off Russell Wilson pretty much in the end zone at the 1 yard line. And that is what sealed the deal for the Tom Brady and his Patriots to win the Super Bowl. In that game, just some, key stats if you don't remember. Tom Brady went 328 yards, 4 touchdowns, and 2 interceptions. Russell Wilson, a little bit lackluster, but Marshawn Lynch kind of supplemented him. Russell Wilson went 247 yards, 2 touchdowns, and 1 interception. That costly interception at the 1 yard line. I don't understand why they didn't run the ball. I mean, come on now. It'll live on, in the football archives there. Marshawn Lynch had 24 carries, a ridiculous amount, 102 yards, and 1 touchdown. And then you had Julian Edelman, who was also a big factor in that game. He went 9 receptions, 109 yards, and 1 touchdown. Now, looking at the Super Bowl matchup between the Seattle Seahawks offense and the New England Patriots defense, you have the blitz dilemma. Patriots have transformed their defense in the playoffs by becoming blitz heavy, jumping from 27% in the regular season to 41% in the postseason. I mean, that's tough enough for an offensive line and a quarterback. So, but excuse me here, Sam Darnold being the vet he is, he's dealt with pressure before. He was always running around scrambling in New York when he was on the Jets. He was also pretty much doing the same when he was in Carolina. But it's a direct challenge to Sam Darnold, who has also struggled against the blitz this year, ranking 23rd in the NFL. But the Seattle Seahawks do have the red zone advantage. They have a significant edge inside the 20. They rank second in the red zone in rushing efficiency. And while the Patriots' run defense surprisingly drops to 26th in that same area. So if Seattle can get inside the 10, maybe even inside the 20. If they can get inside the 20, great. But if they get inside the 10, you can look for Kenneth Walker rushing it in for a touchdown or his counterpart, because sometimes they like to do that. They'll give it off to Zach Charbonnet, who will kind of steal a touchdown from Kenneth Walker. Now, you've got the Gonzalez factor. The Patriots are expected to shadow NFL leading receiver Jackson Smith in Jigba, who has 1,793 yards on the season. And they're going to be shadowing him with fantastic standout cornerback Christian Gonzalez. So if Gonzalez can limit JSN, Darnold will be forced to rely on secondary targets uh, like his tight end and Cooper Cup. And then looking at the Patriots offense against the Seattle defense, you've got the McDonald Wall, as they call it, or as I'm going to call it now. The Seahawks head coach has been kryptonite for young QBs. This season, first and second year quarterbacks are 0-6 against Seattle, and they often posting their worst career stats against their defense. Drake May will need to buck a trend where Seattle's defense averages nearly 4 sacks and 1.5 interceptions per game against young signal callers. I mean, as a young quarterback, I've never played a quarterback one snap in my life, maybe, out the street. But I can't even imagine looking at the Seattle defense, the defensive tackles, and then their linebackers and saying, oh, yeah, I can make a pass or I can run for 3 yards. Yeah, no chance. No chance. Their run game against this brick wall, the Patriots offense thrives on heavy personnel, multiple tight ends, a couple fullbacks. But Seattle allows the lowest success rate on designed runs in the NFL at around 34%. New England's Ramondre Stevenson and their standout rookie who's kind of come out of his shell and kind of, learn the system there. Travion Henderson will be likely struggling to find daylight between the tackles. And May's playoff progression. While May was an MVP finalist in the regular season, who I think Matthew Stafford will kind of, push him out of the way for that MVP trophy. He's been less efficient in the playoffs, completing just around 56% of his passes, and taking 15 sacks over 3 games. Seattle's league best scoring defense, they score around 17.2 points per game, is well equipped to capitalize on those mistakes. So like a little bit of like offensive performance predictions. You have projected points of the Seattle offense are at around 23 to 27. Total yards, I would assume throwing would be around 330, maybe rushing yards like 80 to 100 if possible. Turnover probability, moderate. You do have Sam Darnold against the blitz. And if Jackson Smith and Jigba can get going, you're going to have him going for, anywhere from 6 to 8 receptions and 90 plus yards. Looking at the New England offense, who is going up against a tough defense. You've got them maybe projected to score 17 to 20 points at around 290 yards. And, the turnover probability, it is May. He is a young quarterback. And the turnover probability is a little bit higher for him. And so we'll see him going at around 220 pass yards and 1 touchdown. But hopefully they can get the run game going. If they can, I mean, hey, it's going to be a good game regardless. So we'll see. And yeah, I mean, look, I am very excited to see them play. I got to watch the playoff games. I watched all of them because, you can't not know football if you don't watch it. And yeah, I'm really excited to see this offense. I mean, the Seattle Seahawks kind of gave it to the Rams, but at the same time, Rams, kind of fought back. And look, I mean, you've got a really good defense, but you may be missing a cornerback or safety in Nick Emanori. He is kind of hurt with an ankle injury, and we'll see what happens there. It's kind of, reported that he was okay. They didn't see it. There was a video of him. Wasn't in a boot or anything. And he looked like he was walking like a 50-year-old man with a cane. I'm not going to say I would be worried, but I would also just be cautious, because without him, I mean, hey, the rest of the team can, pick it up, but losing your possible defensive rookie of the year before the first snap of the Super Bowl, that's really, really tough. So we'll see what happens there with the Seattle defense and their secondary. Now, we could go over some NBA stuff, but, the NBA trade deadline is today. It ends at 3 p.m., so we've got about 30 minutes just to, before we before it closes. But we've already seen some pretty big trades. Anthony Davis to the Wizards for a big package of players and picks. You've got James Harden to the Cavaliers. You've got Jaren Jackson to the Jazz, and Kristaps Porzingis to the Warriors. And you also had, let me see, you had Jared McCain to the Thunder, the former, potential rookie of the year, who went down with an ACL tear, is coming back, and he's going to be joining the reigning champions. Now he's not going to be replacing SGA, but hopefully he can add to that already powerful team. You've got some other trades. You've got the Bulls sending Nikola Vucevic to the Celtics, another good team out in the East. You've got Chris Paul going to the Raptors there, and Tyus Jones and Kobe White to the Hornets. Now everyone's thinking about Giannis. What's going to happen with Giannis? We'll see in about 30 minutes if he gets traded. And I also don't have the updated trade deadline stuff. So who knows? We can see. I got nothing from ESPN on my tablet here, but we'll see what happens in the next 30 minutes or so. Some other names to watch are Ja Morant. Maybe they'll trade him. And Ivica Zubac. You've got Zubac maybe looking to get traded as well. So there's a lot going on. We couldn't get to the MLB today, but we'll cover some MLB free agency in the next episode next week. That has been all for your New York sports update for WIUR. I'm Ernest Patty. Tune in next week, 2 o'clock to 2:30, where we'll be discussing sports and everything in the sports world. See you soon.